Oh man, did you see that? Starting off this fuel economy test with the little Honda Navi. I call that the noisy cricket in front of us. I think it's around 110 cc carbureted, single cylinder, scooter-like motorcycle. It's got a CVT in it. And it is, you sit on top of it more like a motorcycle than a scooter that you sit into. But anyways, we are in a different vehicle, also getting crazy fuel economy like that little Honda Navi. We are in a 2024 Corolla LE Hybrid. This is the cheapest hybrid on the market. And we're going to find out today just how good its fuel economy can be. That is a very wide Raptor that passed us. A completely opposite vehicle. That vehicle maybe gets 10 to 15 miles per gallon, depending on where you're driving it. This thing, as you guys can see, the computer thinks we're getting close to about 61 miles per gallon. In this video, we're going to drive it up to Fort Myers and then come back down on the interstate so I can give you guys interstate driving impressions. And then we'll fill it up at the end to give us an accurate pump verified MPG, or miles per gallon. It is rated about 50 combined, this Corolla LE with the 16-inch wheels. It's only rated at 46 on the highway and 53 in the city. The base Camry does similar on the EPA cycle in the city, but it gets like 51 miles per gallon on the highway. This isn't quite as, I would say, aerodynamic as the Camry, but also the Camry, the engine doesn't have to work as hard because the displacement is 2.5 liters. It's got an extra 90 horsepower. So compared to this 138 horsepower front wheel drive Corolla LE, you can get this in all wheel drive if you want to spend extra money. Your fuel economy will go down. Your acceleration will go down just slightly because it's heavier. But if you live in snow, or you have rain a lot and maybe mountainous and crazy terrain, maybe you want to get that all-wheel drive for that peace of mind. But we're in the stripped out model. You can get these for around $24,500 if you don't get any options on the vehicle. And being stuck behind this noisy cricket Honda Navi in front of us, well, we're going to get good fuel economy. There's no way around it. So let's talk about what you guys see on the instrument cluster. You see a tachometer. That's really rare to see a tachometer on Toyota hybrids. They get rid of this, and instead in most Toyota hybrids, it's the power gauge, which is actually the same thing. I'll pull it up for you guys. Most Toyota hybrids have this screen in radial format, okay? Or should I say that sort of driving metric in radial format. So instead of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 RPM, it'll be the first 1,000 here or so, it'll say charge, and then the rest of it will be like eco up to about the noon spot, and then after that will be the power. All right, I actually like this better, having a tach. Yes, one, I'm old school, I love analog tachs, but having the tach here lets me know how hard the engine's working. Because if honestly, in a Toyota hybrid or even a Honda hybrid or any hybrid, if the engine RPMs are past like 2,000, then you can start hearing the engine. But if they're under like 2,000 RPM, you never know how much or little the engine's working. And in fact, I have to look at the tach or this green EV button to let me know what kind of fuel economy, or should I say not what kind of fuel economy, but what the engine's doing, which directly affects fuel economy. Obviously right now I'm getting like infinite fuel economy because the engine's off, and I'm just going really slow speeds here. Speed limit's 35, and we're going about 38 miles an hour. Now the Honda Navi in front of us can probably do about 50 miles an hour. It might take a while to get there, but this guy's just enjoying life, and we're going to as well. And yeah, we're just gonna say we're stuck behind this guy, which we're obviously not. I could pass him at any moment. But this is a fuel efficiency test. The first 112 miles have been mostly commuting, taking my kids to school. Real world, keeping up with traffic, sometimes going over the speed limit, but typically speeds from 0 all the way up to about 55, 60 miles an hour on the daily. Again, I haven't done interstate driving yet, but in flat, hot Florida where I need to have the AC running all the time, the clock is telling me about 61 miles per gallon over that 112 miles that we've racked up. This vehicle only has about, as you guys can see, about 140 miles total. Jermaine Toyota of Naples loaned this to me for the week to do some testing on it. So a special shout out to them. And if you guys are in the area, check them out. I believe this vehicle and some of the other Corolla Hybrids 2024 models that are still on the lots, there's some discounts to be had. So deals are getting better and better. And obviously that will change depending on when you're watching this video. But as we head into the fourth quarter of 2024, shortly, car deals are getting better and better. More incentives are coming out. And so a large part of this video today is to figure out the fuel economy, but also as a value compared to the Camry LE, which I got 62 miles per gallon in my testing. This vehicle, I don't expect it to get 62 to 63 miles per gallon. That's what the Camry did. I expect this to get maybe 55, yet having about 90 less horsepower and being smaller and lighter than the Camry. So it's that Camry's, like I said, more aerodynamic, and it has more electrified power to help out with the fuel economy there. It's going to be a tough vehicle to beat on how I drive anyway. So I think I'm going to say 55 miles per gallon is what I'm going to expect at the pump when we fill this up after doing some interstate driving. And I'm excited to see what you guys have to say down below, and then edit your comment. Let's say you think I'm going to get 60 miles per gallon, and then, edit it saying, hey, I was right or I was wrong, or, whatever. All right, so let's talk about what's going on here. I mentioned the tachometer. It's great to have that for me. It's more information for my eyes. This screen is the traditional Toyota Eco driving gauge, or you could say power gauge. I don't like it here because it's so small on this screen. It's too much data tied in. And then of course it's sharing it with the Eco score, which I never look at. So the green here tells me how much throttle I'm using. And I can be in fully electric, and it still shows me how much pressure I'm putting onto that gas pedal. The blue underneath of it, I honestly don't know what that means. That's a new gauge to me, the blue gauge. If you guys understand what that means, let me know. I don't think it's tied to the battery. It doesn't seem to be tied to fuel economy that I'm aware of. So I'll see you guys down below on what that blue gauge is. I could thumb through the owner's manual, but I'm not going to get lost in there if I don't need to be. The blue gauge is not important. For road trips, this car would be great. It might be a little bit noisy, as we'll find out when we do highway, but the seat in here is a lot more comfortable than the new Camry seat. The bottom cushion might not be quite as long, which is I have long legs, so I like longer bottom cushions, but the Camry's upper seat, the vertical portion of the seat, it was too stiff, and it felt like it was pushing into my upper back, and these seats are much more comfortable. This vehicle's built in Japan, where the Camry LE, or all the Camrys, are built in Kentucky. So it's going to be a completely different supplier, to my understanding, for the seats. And so these Japanese-made seats, or I'm assuming they're made in Japan, they could be sourced outside of Japan and then installed into this vehicle in Japan during assembly. But regardless, they are a lot more comfortable than the Camry seats. These cloth seats are fantastic. They breathe well, they don't get too hot, and I'm just very, very comfortable in here. I don't have any niceties like heated steering wheel or heated seats. You can get those on higher spec trims. You can get an optional sunroof in here. You get optional blind spot monitor, optional smart key access, optional push button start, optional leather steering wheel. You can get an optional heated side mirrors, and maybe even auto dimming rearview mirror. I think you can get just about all of that, as well as a sunroof, on the premium package on the Corolla LE Hybrid. But at that point, just buy a Camry, in my opinion. It just gets too expensive for Corolla. So watch my normal review that I did yesterday or the day before on this vehicle. I talk about the value of this car, but don't spend more than $25K on it. I'll just say that and end it there. Don't spend more than $25K if you can help it on the Corolla LE. Otherwise, just get a base Camry LE. All right, so some fuel economy tips. There's no one behind me, so I'll just do the, like the speed limit, which is on this road, I think around, I don't even know what the speed limit, I don't even see a sign, but I do have road sign assist here. That's standard on the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, because this does have proactive driving assist, which I disabled. So it has that, interestingly, but it doesn't have blind spot standard anyways. 45 miles an hour. If there's no one behind you, you're not in a rush, that's where you're going to get the best fuel economy, no matter what. All right, take your time accelerating, do the pulse and glide, which we'll talk about pulse and glide. It's a traditional Toyota hybrid efficiency hack. We'll do that here as we accelerate. But moral of the story, don't use a heavy foot if you want good fuel economy in any car, and a hybrid's no exception. As you can see, I have auto brake hold on, so I can take my foot off the gas pedal, or sorry, the brake pedal at a stop. I do have to reapply that every time I start the car back up, unfortunately, but I do love that feature. Wish I had that in my old 2012 Prius hybrid, but I enjoy it when I can in modern cars, auto brake hold. Most manufacturers offer that now on their newer cars. Listening to that Shelby F-150 America 775 horsepower, that's what it said on the side skirts. Listening to that, sounded good, but you do hear other cars in this vehicle quite noticeably. It's a budget car. It's not loud, but you're going to hear things outside of it. If you're listening to radio most of the time, you're not going to hear pretty much anything, not even the road or the tire noise here. The comfortability in this vehicle is fantastic. I mentioned the seats, but the ride quality is very floaty, very soft. And when you throw it in the turns, it's light. Even the suspension soft, since it's light, it doesn't overwhelm the suspension when you throw it in the turns. So I love how this little thing handles. It's not as rewarding as like a Civic. I mean, the Sentra is even more fun to drive. The Elantra is a lot more fun to drive. The Civic is the king in this class. And the Civic just came out a hybrid. I will be driving it next week in Nashville, so stay tuned for the Civic Hybrid. But unfortunately for Honda, the Civic Hybrid is only available in the upper trims. So you're going to be spending around $30,000 for that. And so in theory, that's more of a direct competitor against the Prius and the Camry hybrids. This vehicle competes most against the Elantra hybrid, which is a completely different hybrid system. It has a 6-speed automatic, a single motor hybrid. This is a dual motor hybrid, even though it is front wheel drive. You have a motor generator to start the engine, and then you have a drive motor, which helps with propulsion. To put it simply, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but this has an eCVT, which there's no shifting of gears ever. If you look at the Elantra hybrid, that has a 6-speed automatic, and so it feels like a normal car when you're shifting. It gets a bit eerie though, because you have gear shifts under fully electric, and it's a bit strange. It feels a bit artificial, but it is still a lot more engaging, a lot more fun to drive than this Corolla hybrid. And the Elantra hybrid, in my testing, it's not the same testing I'm doing today, so it's a bit apples to oranges, but I was able to get about 65 miles per gallon on that Elantra hybrid. Absolutely insane. Elantra hybrid's front wheel drive only. It's not all wheel drive optional like it is here. So the Corolla just comes in at an unbeatable price, under $25,000, unbeatable reliability. Toyota's hybrid systems are probably one of the most reliable vehicles left, or powertrains I should say, left on the road. Naturally aspirated engines are dying out, and so this system really doesn't have a transmission in it, so you take that out of there. The hybrids with the battery assist in here, the electric engine, or so the gasoline motor doesn't have to run nearly as much as a traditional car. Check this out. There's a dynamic in here, the EV driving ratio. So it says about 63% is on fully electric. The more city driving you do, typically, the higher that goes. On average, I'm seeing between 60 to 70% of my driving done in fully electric. And that is insane. If you're doing high-speed highway runs, it's going to be like 25% or less fully electric. But under normal driving, especially in town, it's going to be more and more electric driving. And so that sort of wear and tear in your engine just isn't there. You could say, yeah, Kirk, I have 100,000 miles on my Prius, something like that. But realistically, if 60% of your driving is done in EV, that means you really only have 40,000 miles on your gasoline engine. So in terms of longevity, hybrids really can up the ante for extending engine life with the electric assist here. You're not be saying, Kirk, yeah, but then you have the added cost of a battery that could go out in a few years. I mean, batteries, these are so understressed. They're meant to last. Toyota warranties their hybrid batteries for 10 years. So that'd be one of the least of my concerns buying a Toyota hybrid or any sort of hybrid would be the battery longevity. These hybrid batteries are only used maybe about 40 to 60%. All right, it says there's 8 bars here, but this is not the real capacity of the battery. The real capacity is actually much bigger than this. So we're just using a very small portion of the battery. And when you do that, the longevity of the battery, it goes through the roof, okay? It's never fully charged and it's never fully depleted, nowhere close, all right? It probably maximizes at 80% charge, and like the lowest charge you'll see in a hybrid battery is maybe 20% charge. The gasoline engine will kick in if you go above or below to make sure the battery doesn't overcharge or undercharge to preserve the longevity of the battery. These hybrid systems are essentially bulletproof. You can put tons of miles on them. There's little to nothing that can break on them. And they provide a more luxurious experience that's smoother and quieter than a traditional gas car. And your fuel economy goes to the roof. I'll put on the screen what a normal Corolla hybrid actually a normal Corolla non-hybrid with 169 horsepower 2-liter hybrid. I'll put the fuel economy on that. It's probably somewhere around 40 miles per gallon. But this vehicle is just as quick or slightly slower, but it's much more seamless, smooth, luxurious, quiet driving experience while getting more instant response, pedal down, and this thing just goes. You can actually see the tach wake up a little bit there. But you're also gonna get crazy good fuel economy in here as long as you don't have a lead foot. If you do have a lead foot, then you're probably gonna get about 45 miles per gallon, worst case scenario. Unless it's wintertime. Wintertime is really going to put a dent in your battery's efficiency, as well as your gasoline engine efficiency. But once your gasoline engine gets up to operating temperature, they're very, very efficient in the winter, where the batteries, they're a little bit more temperamental. All right, so you will see a drop in efficiency in the wintertime, maybe 35 to 40 miles per gallon in sub-zero temperatures. But if it's 40 degrees centigrade and above, your efficiency is still going to be really, really impressive. So I said what I've wanted to here. I'm going to shut it down, and then after a bunch of miles I've racked up kind of in this city / somewhat highway driving, I'm going to get on the interstate, then I'll talk about interstate driving. So I'll go ahead and cut to that. All right, so there's no one behind me, and I have a long run up to this red light. So this is just like a fuel economy tip. Like that big truck to the left of me, the Kia Soul to the right of me, they don't care. They'll go speed and then hit their brakes on the the last second of the red light, and then speed up again. And if there's no one behind you, you can just coast. And coasting does a lot of things in a hybrid. Well, one, your engine will turn off, so you're saving gas. And two, you're slowing down using regen braking, just slightly. And no, there's no like adjustable regen braking here on the Toyota Hybrid. It's all done through the brake pedal, but as soon as you get off the gas pedal, which there's a truck behind me now, so I'm just gonna get over. But as soon as I get off the gas pedal, you can see that, well, here, I gotta pull up this. You can see that this in the charging area, it starts recharging the battery. So if you're coming up against a red light, engine will turn off. You start using your regen braking without knowing it because the car is designed to do that. And then, especially if there's no one behind you and the light turns green, you can just maintain your speed without ever using the engine to reaccelerate. So when you have to reaccelerate, of course, it's going to use gasoline and that's going to hurt your fuel economy. All right, so just number one, be aware of the traffic, the situation, the people around you. Don't hold up traffic for the sake of fuel economy. People are going to hate you. There's no need to make other people's lives awful. But if there's no one around you and you just like the idea of saving fuel, you just do the speed limit and take your time accelerating and take your time braking. And right now there's a van that just pulled out in front of me and I'm just gonna coast. Now, some people could have just gone around him. If there's no one to the left of me, or there's people to the left of me, so I can't do it. I could have gone around him to maintain my speed even better, so I don't have a drop in speed and then a reacceleration, which is gonna hurt fuel economy. So maintaining speed, taking your time, and just relax. Relax, relax, relax when you're driving. Easier said than done. But in a hybrids just, they incentivize you to relax. You're treated and rewarded for relaxing because your fuel economy goes up and you're just playing this game of chasing higher and higher fuel economy. All right, so it's fun to do for me. Even though this car's slow, it's more engaging than most cars on the market, even fun to drive cars, because hybrids, they just encourage you to be aware the entire time you're driving. You can see I'm up, according to the clock, up to 62 miles per gallon, but that's all going to change. It's going to drop quick. You guys will be seeing soon the sign to head south on I-75 here back to Naples. And so we're just going to get straight into merging speed, things like that, and then highway driving impressions and what kind of fuel economy the clock is going to tell us we're getting once we're up to speed, going 70, 75 miles an hour. You can see just keeping up with traffic here, no problem. And let's see here, there's no one in front of me. If there was, I would try to keep up with them, but there's someone behind me. There's a little Focus behind me. Taking this on-ramp here, it's quite fun. Again, this car, even though it's a hybrid, doesn't weigh much, even though it's an electrified vehicle. Small engine displacement, small electric motors, small battery. So it's very minimal compared to like a BEV with a really big, fat, heavy battery pack. All right, so already going 60. And I'm gonna get into it just a little bit. I'm not getting pressured from behind, but I don't like merging to the interstate slower than 70 miles an hour for obvious reasons. But you can see here we're going about 70 here. The engine's able to run under 2,000 RPM, which is quite good. And an eCVT, electronic variable or continuously variable transmission. The computer will find the right RPMs to maintain your speed at the most efficient RPM. All right, so we're going 75. I'm gonna put the cruise control on. It says 76, whatever, it's close enough. And we're going to look at the fuel economy here. And this is where something like a Camry, a more efficient sedan, is just going to do a lot better fuel economy. Hybrids lose their potency on the highway a little bit compared to city driving because the engine's always on. You can see that white line on the screen on the bottom left next to the 61.5 miles per gallon. It's about 45 miles per gallon, I would say, is the current MPG I'm getting doing 76 on the interstate. And again, it's rated at 46 miles per gallon on the freeway. Now it's 46 miles per gallon on the EPA cycle, but that's probably what you're going to be getting doing 75 miles per hour. Again, assuming all your conditions are good. All right, so let's talk about ride quality, ride noise. The most annoying thing is actually the wind buffeting. I started noticing it at 60 miles an hour, and it's mainly the window line right here. At the top of the window is where I hear most of the air moving around. But honestly, it's okay. This is a really loud stretch of road. And actually, I'm gonna go over to this smooth stretch of road so you guys can get an idea of, it's a lot quieter over here, as you guys can tell. Much, much quieter. So the quality of your road is gonna determine largely how much tire and road noise you're gonna get. All right, let's calculate the results. Remember, it is 50 miles per gallon. I would say I did about 75% roughly of more city driving, which favors higher fuel economy compared to the highway fuel economy, which drops a little bit on this car. So you can see, I mean, there's a bit of a glare, but you can see I've traveled 149 miles on my trip. So let's take 149 even divided by 2.562. 58 miles per gallon. 58 miles per gallon. Again, it's rated at 50 miles per gallon. What's 50 divided by 58? So we got 14% better fuel economy than what the sticker is rated at. Again, winter will change that. If you live in a wintry place, elevation could potentially change that. How fast you drive, how slow you drive. There's so many factors. How much you use AC, for example. But yeah, there you have it. 58 miles per gallon. Again, 149 divided by 2.562. Now to keep in mind, 58 miles per gallon, I did the triple click verification. So once it clicks, I'll click it 2 more times on the pump. I did that for the first fill up, and I did that for this subsequent fill up here to make sure it's pretty accurate. I did not use the same pump. As much as a lot of people like to use the same pump and how, you know, pumps click off at certain times, things like that, I understand. But the reality is like gas stations are everywhere. You can refill at any point in time, and you're going to be using different pumps to fill up your car all the time. So it's, to me, it makes sense to use a different pump to refuel. And yeah, 58 miles per gallon. Not that far off of the 62 to 63 miles per gallon I got on the Camry LE. Again, the Camry LE is going to be much better on the highway, has a lot more power. But in town, they're probably going to be pretty close fuel economy wise. And if you're just driving mainly in town, you want a smaller car that's more affordable than the Camry LE. This Corolla LE is fantastic, under $25,000. But if you're driving a lot of highway, I'd be getting the Camry. No doubt, it's better in every single way on the highway compared to this vehicle. Other than seat comfort, that's one thing. That's one of the big takeaways for me is seat comfort for the Corolla here. So one last thing I did not talk about is driving modes. There is a drive mode button here by the shifter, and there's just 2 here in the LE model, and the SE, I think there's probably a sport mode too. But there's just eco and normal mode. I've been driving only in eco. I've found that Toyota's 5th gen hybrids, they provide a ton of electric punch if you're in normal mode, way more than I want, which is going to exhaust the battery a little prematurely. And maybe unnecessarily as well. So I keep it in eco. It's really buttery smooth and very predictable with how much throttle it gives you. So big fan of eco mode. It got us 58 plus miles per gallon, which is around 13% better fuel economy than what the EPA is saying that it is. Again, your mileage will definitely vary. But if you own this vehicle, let me know what kind of fuel economy you're getting. I think it was the 2023 models that got this 5th gen hybrid system. On paper, it gets less fuel economy than the previous generation, but it's a lot more zippy It's more fun to drive, it's more refined, it's quieter than the 4th gen system, but in theory not quite as fuel efficient. I wish this had an updated engine. This is the 1.8 liter that Toyota's been using in the Prius since like 2010. Now the electric motors in here and the battery technology has improved since then, but the gasoline engine, it's tried, it's true, it's bulletproof. And so what you give up maybe in efficiency, you gain in terms of reliability, because this engine's been in production for, I don't know, at least 15 years at this point, if not longer, with this 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. But the times are changing. The next generation Corolla will get a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder next gen, and a next gen batteries. The rumors are coming from Japan that we could see an extended range EV, which is essentially a plug-in hybrid with a lot of electric range. Let's say 100 miles of electric range only, and then you have a small onboard engine to act as a generator to carry you after that. So tons of in-town efficiency and no range anxiety, because you can just fill it up and use the engine as a generator. So that's the future of the Corolla, at least. Those are the rumors. Take that with a grain of salt. Those are the rumors that could be coming down the road. That would, of course, be for the top-end Corolla. Very expensive top-end Corollas would have that sort of powertrain, and then the entry levels could have an updated version of this powertrain even still yet to come, which is exciting. But hey, this setup right here, it's close to 60 miles per gallon. It's really smooth, very efficient, it's quiet, it's more powerful than it was versus the 4th gen hybrid, and it's just a really, really comfortable, everyday, efficient, affordable commuter car. Not as cool or as efficient as a Z06 C8, I'm sorry guys, but for what that costs, let's say that, I don't know what that costs, my guess is $150,000 to $200,000. You could buy like 8 Corolla hybrids. Oh man. Anyways, at the gas station I also saw a Buick Roadmaster, so I've been seeing some cool cars on the road today, but I'm going to shut down there. Thank you guys, I'll catch you in the next one. And yes, incredibly efficient, incredibly comfortable, and an incredible value, the Toyota Corolla Hybrid LE. If you want to see more of these base model reviews, let me know in the comments below. And again, thanks to Jermaine Toyota of Naples for hooking me up once again with a base model value spec. Some of you guys are jokingly, they call it poverty spec. Whatever you call it, it's still a really good car for the money. It's really hard to beat, very efficient, like I said. And if you want to see more of these base model hybrid reviews, let me know in the comments. I'd love to bring you more of them. Catch you in the next one. Peace.